Good morning and welcome to the March 31st, 2022 episode of Java with Josh. I'm your host, Josh Mason. Hope you've got your mug of beverage of choice. And today we're going to go through some penetration testing student black box lab or black box test 1 on INE penetration testing pathway. Thank you for being here. This is meant for all levels, whether you are a noob, whether you are building your skills, or whether you're a seasoned practitioner in the cyberspace arena. Red, blue, GRC, whatever, you are welcome here. I want to put this out there. If you have questions, put them into chat. Only ask your question once, please. And my moderators will pull it and pass it to me. Please don't spam out chat. Also, my moderators are in chat, making sure that your voice is heard by making sure there aren't spam bots, that there aren't any racist, misogynistic, or toxic voices disturbing the peace. If you get a timeout or a ban by a moderator, please go over to Discord, use !Discord on YouTube to get the link to our Discord channel. And you can, if you have any issues, you can bring them up with the moderators there. They are all in chat there. So without further ado, let me share my screen, and hopefully, unlike the last 2 weeks, this works like it's supposed to. Yeah, there we go. Full res. And that's not the one I want to share. I want to share this one. So we have INE, the homepage, and we've been going through penetration testing basics. It is part of this whole pathway. I want to show you the pathway if you are new to all this. Penetration testing student is the learning path. It is built of these 4 courses right now. Penetration prereqs, which we went through. Penetration preliminary skills in programming, which we haven't gone through here in Java with Josh. But if you want to learn some Python, learn some C, is it C Sharp or C++? I can't remember. C++. I've forgotten almost all my C++. I just don't use it very much. And then we're in penetration testing basics. There is also the EJPT exam preparation labs down here, and they are the classic labs with VPN access, I believe, to get you prepared for the EJPT exam and used to what that VPN connection is like. You will need your own attack box, your own VM. We are down here in penetration testing basics, all the way at the bottom. We started this lab last week. I'm going to move through it, talking through what it is that's happening with everything, because I think I felt a little rushed last week. I want to take this. We'll take this one all the way through. 2 and 3 are good, but they are very involved, and there's not going to be a good walkthrough in a live stream environment. I can go through them. I've gone through them many times. They will build skills and repetition in you that is really good for the exam and for going forward. But I find the things that people have the hardest trouble with, we will hit in penetration testing 1, black box penetration test 1. So we start our lab. Why can't we start our lab? What's going on? Why won't it start? You know what? I'm going to do something. Bring that. Do this one. There. Playing a tabs game. We've all been there. All right, that guy is going to start up. Let me jump over and see what's going on in chat while it's spinning up. So next week, I'm going to start on going through this book with you all. It is the CASP Plus CS004 certification guide from Packt by Mark Birch. And it's good. I've gone through it a little bit. It's many of the same domains. It's all the same domains as CISP, just packaged a little differently. So I'm going to take that. Packt gave me the book and asked me to review it and use it to study. So I'll take the exam. Why not? CompTIA exams aren't that expensive, and I'll get someone to pay for it for me, as is my MO. And then we will go through portions of the book here live on stream. I'll explain bits. You can ask questions about them, and we will go from there. I'm hoping Packt will give me a few books to give away, or maybe some subscriptions to Packt. Okay, and this lab is up and running. Good morning, Pamela. Good morning, Voice of Grog, Jonathan, Schultz, and Cyber Centurion. Hey, Nathan. Good morning. Welcome to everyone. I am not following along on LinkedIn. So if you are over there, I am sorry. I'm missing your comments. Same with Twitch. But if you jump over to YouTube, then you can participate in chat there. And how does this look? It looks a little small, so to speak. So let's go with that. Does that look a little better? Hey, Dev. Thanks for being here. That looks a little easier to read. All right, let's check our IP address. Always a good idea. ETH1, we have just ETH0. That's fine by me. 10103. Sounds good. No, up here. ETH1. I'm blind. 192.171.132.2. Sorry, that was ableist to me. I just missed that. Not blind. All right. We are attacking demo.imne.local, so let's check it. And it looks like it is up. It is on 192.171.132.3. So it's on that same network that ETH1 is on. That is good. Let's run an Nmap on demo.ine.local. That was fast. We got back that it's running a web server and MySQL as well. I see a web server. I do a couple things. I go to the web server and hey, look, it says VCMS. It's a open source simple CMS content management system. So WordPress is a CMS. Wix uses a CMS. There's a lot of content management systems. It is a very standard way of providing content managed in a system. Does that make sense? So this is a very basic open source CMS, and it looks like it's version 1.0, which is, again, very basic. When you see things that are 1.0, you should be like, ooh, I wonder, is there a known vulnerability for this? So let's search. Let's go to Google and VCMS 1.0, and exploit is the first thing that comes up. So this is a known thing. I've been here before. Let's go to exploit DB. See what we got. Maybe. What about this one? This will work. This is Rapid7. Rapid7 owns and maintains Metasploit. They are a great organization. But we see there's this VCMS PHP file upload and execute. This module exploits a vulnerability found on CMS's inline image upload feature. Problem is due to the inline image upload.php file not checking the file type before saving it on the web server. This allows any malicious user to upload a script such as PHP without authentication, meaning you don't have to be logged in. You don't have to be a user. Anyone can reach it. And then execute it with a GET request. The issue is fixed in 1.1, good, by checking the extension name. By default, 1.1 only allows JPEGs, JPEGs, PNGs, GIFs, bitmaps, but it is still possible to upload a PHP file as one of those extension names, which may still be leveraged in an attack. Okay, so it got patched in 1.1. It checks the file name, but it just checks the extension. It doesn't actually check the contents of the file. So you could still upload a malicious GIF file if you want. We could dive in, look at the source code on this thing, but it's a Metasploit module. Okay, so we've got a Metasploit module. That is useful. That saves us a lot of enumeration. I was going to do a search and see if there were any exploits. That all I did was search for this software. Okay, well, we know a way in. We could enumerate more. I say we just go at it. So MSF console, Q, quietly get this thing started. How's everyone doing this Thursday? Did you know Neil is doing Tea with a Hacker tomorrow morning? and I'm pretty sure I'm running a giveaway. So I will be there in chat, and we will give some stuff away. And you have Neil for his standard Ask a Hacker anything you want. So to make looking that up a little easier, I'm going to search VCMS. We've got 2 exploit modules and an auxiliary module. I think it is this VCMS upload that we want. It's ranked excellent. Excellent usually means that it works. It doesn't require any modification, and it is likely to not knock over the box. So you can say use, and then this number over here, I'm going to say use 2. It sets it up. If you're curious what all is in there, hit info. It walks you through all of the info. It looks very similar to that Rapid7 page. Written up by Sinner at Metasploit. Very helpful. It attacks a generic Linux. And we didn't even look to see if this thing is Linux, but I've got a good feeling about that. We could dial it in if we wanted. Or there's just a generic PHP payload. That works. That'll work. That'll hit the service. It really doesn't matter what it's running on. If you hit the service, then you will be in, and you will be able to run as the service, no matter what infrastructure it's running on. We can set up with proxies. We've got this stuff to fill in. Awesome. Let's look at our options. Automatically loaded the PHP interpreter reverse TCP. That's good. That helps us. That's what we want. And it's got 10103, which is our ETH0. So we need to fix that. We'll set lhost ETH1. Then set rhost to demo.ine.local. Because if you follow along with me, if you type demo.ine.local and ETH1, then no matter what the generalized IP address is, you can do the same exact commands as me and it will work. Because it's always, in this case, ETH1 and demo.ine.local. Our target URI up there, I guess sometimes you don't put it in the root. You might put it in its own VCMS folder directory. So we'll put set target URI to root, and we can verify that. So right here, demo.ine.local, it doesn't have any directory or file name after that, meaning the VCMS is at the root directory for the web server. And we can dive in. I think it's an Nginx. Nginx. I'm never quite sure how to say that one. It doesn't matter. Someone tell me I'm wrong, and I'll say, okay, I'm wrong. Got it. I'm going to say it right, and I'll say it right. Hey, Taekwon Gong. Sorry. Not supposed to be looking at chat. Oh, this looks ready to go, so let's run. Interpreter session 1 opened. Oh, that is a great feeling for Thursday morning. Cheers. Give it a second to clean up. You're good, man. So that's fun. It launched a payload. It ran the payload. Remember, it was a file that it uploaded onto the web server, and then it was able to run it with a GET request. And looks like it'll just take a put to upload the file. So that's neat. And now sysinfo, find out where we are. We're on demo.ine.local. We're on a PHP Linux interpreter. It looks like this thing's running Linux 5.4. Neat. Let's get a UID and reinstall this service so it runs as root. So when we took over the service, we are root, which is pretty epic. Okay. Neat. Let's go to root. And we've got a flag. Well, that was easy. All right. That's one. We now are on this machine. We should do some local enumeration. I would look at let's do it. Etsy shadow, especially since we're root. Nothing's really jumping out at me. Message bus. Nobody. Yeah. I got SE password just to double check. I don't see any users that are very worthwhile. You could search around a little more. If I'm ever root, I go to root folder and see what's there. Capture the flag player in me. I want to drop into a shell, and it just dropped me into kind of nothingness. It's just a blind shell. It's not even bash. I could do like in bash. Can't. That's fine. Contact C. Import pty dot spawn. It's a pseudo terminal, and I can tell it what I want it to do in the pseudo terminal. And now I've got bash. Now I've got a bash shell. So I could do, nope, tab complete doesn't work still. That's fine. How about, oh, I missed that one. Yeah, okay. Try that again. Oh, dang. All right, what I really want is just this. I have config. Played around too much. All right, we knew that this target was 192.171.132.3, right? That's what we attacked originally. Just double check. Yeah. 192.171.132.3 was our target. Okay. So we knew about its ETH0. It also has an ETH1. We don't know what's out there. It's connected to another subnet, which isn't our subnet. We're not on 192.189.226.2 or 226. So can we even reach that? Let's open a new tab. I'm going to copy this over so don't mistake it. Shift Control C, Shift Control V, replace the 2 with the 0. And try just see if we can ping something out there. Nothing. I tried Nmap. Ping. I'm not going to find anything. Okay, it found the router. Neat, it found a router. Did I do the wrong one? Well, we can play with that. We can see the router. We can't see, it didn't show anything else out there. Well, snap. Well, let's see what else is out there. Okay. Let's just do route add, and then what was the context for route add? I think it's going to be. I'm going to follow the lab on this one. Let's do it the way the lab wants us to do it. If you want to see the other route add, go check out the secret server. Find the secret server. I got a question from Brian Stumbow. How well respected are the eLearn certs in the industry? I just heard about them while reading Gerald Ozier's book, but he seems pretty high on them. Yeah, Jerry's a great guy, and I'll tell you, these certs are hands-on. They require you to actually do stuff, which is different than some of the certs where you just have to know some knowledge. You will have to do exploits on at least 4 boxes, do some web exploits, and crack hashes, add a root or two, and actually do some hands-on things to get just the EJPT. Now, the ECPPT and the other certs are even more involved with Active Directory and more traversal and privilege escalation and AV evasion, and it goes on and on with reports. And yeah, they're legit. They are not handed out willy-nilly. I can tell you that. So, and they're all getting an upgrade. What I've been doing alongside Alexi Ahmed, hacker split to most of the community, has been to revamp all of the labs, make all new videos and slides, and the slides are in the videos. I don't think we're just publishing slides at all. So there will be videos to walk you through all the concepts and all of the labs. And I think we're at over 130 labs right now for the next PTS. This one currently has 13. So we have multiplied the number of labs by 10. For example, tonight I'm recording social engineering labs for PTS. So where's the beef? Go fish. It's quite involved. So they're no joke. I'll tell you, Active Directory is going to be in PTP, in the Pen Testing Professional, as it is now. So that's not like a big change, but it'll be good stuff, I promise. Sorry, I am kind of cheating. All right, let's escape the shell. Background. Z. I'm back in my interpreter shell. Now let's run auto root. And the network I want to connect to is this one right there. In Linux, if you highlight something and then your center your wheel, it will copy and paste what you have highlighted. So that's what I just did there. If you're new to Linux, then 255, 255.0, that is the net mask, and it represents the first 8, 16, 24 bits on, so it's a CIDR 24 notation. So that's 192.189.226.0 CIDR 24, except in netmask. All right, so now we add that route in there, and so we can do route list. Oop. I gotta do that elsewhere. Background my interpreter shell. Back to Metasploit console, and now I can check my routes. And it's not showing any routes. That's fine. There it is. Okay. That is the one. I just used auto root and 192.189.226.0. It's through session 1. Bueno. So now from my machine in the Metasploit console, I can use that route to get to that route, whatever. I use them interchangeably to get to the other subnet. So we're going to use a scanner in Metasploit because that's where we have this route set up. For example, back in my other shell, I think if I run this again, even though I've created a route, it's not going to show anything more than, that I can hit the gateway. But with this, make this a little easier. I'll set our hosts 192.168. Oh, I got it highlighted. And we saw that .1 was the gateway. See? Gateway. .2 was our first victim. We're already on our first victim. So let's look at 3 through 10. Okay. Maybe other machines on this one. And we'll run that. And it already came up with .3 on the other subnet, has port 21 open. So FTP, and 22 for SSH. We could use those. It's going to scan now the other machines. Taekwon Gong asked a couple questions. Well, this is scanning. I'll answer those. How much basic skills is needed for EJPT? I got my Pen Test Plus. If you can follow along with what I'm doing in this lab, if you're like, I could do that, then you're good. You're ready. Truth be told, yeah. Sounds good, man. I'm good. You also asked, Taekwon Gong, do I need to be very skilled in web for EJPT certification? And no. Again, if you were able to follow what I did with Burp and Zap in a couple weeks ago, you could do it all with that. If you can replicate what I showed you that's taught in the lessons, like if you can go back, read through the lessons, be like, oh, okay, I get this. This makes sense. Then you're money. Then you're ready for the exam. The exam, I like it because truth be told, you go through this free course with PTS and you take it $200 exam and you've just validated that, like, I know how to do this stuff, because the exam's not easy. If you know what you're doing, it's easy. But if you're new, it's not like, it doesn't just hand it to you. So it's not easy, but, and you can't memorize a whole bunch of stuff. You do have to investigate and be like, oh man, what's the command for this? What's the command for that? Go back and look at the lessons, go back and look at the labs and figure out, like, okay, what in my notes did I like have for this? Oh, I came across this service. How do I find out if that's exploitable? And then how do I exploit it? So it's not easy, but you can do it. All right, so dot 3 looks to be the only machine over there, and it's got port 21 open. How do we reach that port 21? We could go into our interpreter shell and then like maybe run things from there, but we would be utilizing the demo.ine.local machine, and it doesn't have the tools. And Meterpreter doesn't have our tools to exploit. It doesn't have its own Meterpreter to launch things. So we got to figure something out. We can do what's called port forwarding, where we create a tunnel to this port 21 on the other victim machine and have it be represented as a port on our local machine, so that if we shoot things at our local machine, it's as if we're sending them over there. So we could scan it, we could send exploits, and it works again like a tunnel. It's like a VPN, if you think of it that way, except for a specific port, not for the whole network, not for the whole machine, but for just that port. So here, let's see what that looks like. Let's go into our session. I did sessions tag I to initiate, initialize, interact. There we go. Interact is the word. With session 1, which was our current one. And let's look at port forward. If you're curious where that came from, just type help. We got a few commands in here. This is a Linux machine, so you get a PHP interpreter shell as opposed to a full TCP interpreter shell. So it doesn't have all of the things, but it does have this. It does have port forward. So what does port forward do? It doesn't tell you. So you can forward a local port to a listening port on another machine. So what does that look like? Let's port forward, add. Our local machine will use 1234. Keep it easy. And the remote port is going to be on that other machine. Make it easy. Copy that. I need the port. So our local port 123 is going to get port forwarded to 192.189.226.3's port 21. And if I can spell right, it will work. Here we go. Huzzah. Look at the list. I like Linux. It's like, oh no, yeah, you totally spelled that wrong. Oh, thanks. There we go. So it is now forwarding. Great. What do I do with that? Well, Metasploit console, the suite is pretty sweet. So let's background. We made a root in Meterpreter. We port forwarded in Meterpreter. We can, as long as we stay in our Metasploit console session, we can keep using all these things that we set up. So now that we're here, we can Nmap this guy. We're going to look at our local port 12234 on localhost. We're going to Nmap our own local 1234, which is actually port 21 on this remote machine. Maybe. What did I do wrong? Lowercase s. Should go quickly. And you see it says exec. So execute Nmap. So inside of Meterpreter, it's going to execute Nmap, which is different than if you were just running it on its own. For example, if I take all this, try to do it over here, it'd be like, I'm going to say this will work, but it shouldn't work. Oh, okay. Well, cheers. It worked. VSFTPD 2.0.8. And again, we could go looking that up. Just do that here. Search exploit. VSFTPD. We got a few of them. This is made to be vulnerable. We search for a service and we find an exploit for a service. There's a backdoor command execution by Metasploit. Well, let's go check that out. Let's search for VSFTPD. Here. We got that guy. I don't know. Info 0. What does it say? For VSFTPD version 2.3.4, which 2.08 or later. This might work. This could do the trick. It's privileged. It's ranked excellent. It's from MC and HCM. Good guys. We just give it a remote host and it kind of does its thing. This module exploits a malicious backdoor that was added to VSFTPD download archive. This backdoor was introduced in 2.3.4 and according to most recent information available. Okay, and then it was removed later that year. Like 2 days later. That's good. They added a backdoor, then they removed a backdoor. If these guys didn't patch, then we could use that. So let's use 0. And it went to the command Unix interact. That's fine. We'll set our host to. If you haven't noticed by now, I don't like to type things when I can just copy and paste them to that guy. And options, there's only like 2. So delete, tell it to exploit. Just try a password. But it should be a backdoor. What did I do wrong? Okay. I don't know. Don't know what happened with that last one. This happens with exploits. Sometimes you're like, I launched it. It should have worked. Why isn't it working? And then it just works. Command shell session 2 opened. Sweet. Run ID. I'm in. Python tag C. Import pty.spawn. In bash. Sorry, I would go through. All right. Those who know Python, this is inline Python. So I did which Python to see which Python's on this box. This works with whatever is marked as Python. Tag C says, hey, execute whatever I type after this. And then you can inline type Python where your lines separation, all you need is a semicolon. So we're going to import P2I, which is the pseudo terminal module. And then we'll use spawn, which is a function, which is a method of the module. And then from there, you can spawn whatever pseudo terminal you want. You just need to give it the binary. So the binary is the bash binary in the bin directory. So bin bash, it launches bash, and now we've got a bash shell. So I'm root. And it's not a fully upgraded shell, but at least it tells me who I am and what machine I'm on. It looks like a shell. It used the Callie asked the question, what payload did it use? And it looks like it set up the just Unix interactive. Do you want me to see if I can use a different payload? Set payload. That would be Unix. There, Unix interpreter. Search payload, Unix interpreter. I knew there'd be Windows ones. It's been a while. Usually don't have to look them up. Linux 86 interpreter reverse TCP. They'll do the trick, right? What did that do? That one. See, I don't know that I want a reverse TCP payload. That's fine. I'm not going to mess with it too much. This one's kind of done. So sessions, I've got this 2 sessions. What I would rather do at this point is do a post module and upgrade my session. So yeah, but I have got nowhere to go, and I'm already root. So I don't know what I'm going to do with a interpreter session on this machine. But if you wanted an interpreter session, when did we get that? The Metasploit lab that we did last week, we upgraded our session to a interpreter session. So if you're curious how to do that, you can go check out that lab. Go check out the slides on that and that video from last week. All right, that's what I wanted to cover. I didn't want to do Black Box 2 or 3. They are more involved. They're long. They're fun. They're complicated. 2 takes you down this rabbit hole where you have to do this other thing, and then that'll get you to the other one, and that'll get you to the other one, and it's neat and it's pretty cool. It's very useful. to get you in a mindset of thinking about pivoting and using what you have. Kind of like here, where you get onto a machine, you enumerate locally, find out that, hey, it's connected to another subnet. And then from there, figure out how do you touch that subnet. It's not the first lab where we've done that. Again, find the hidden server, find the secret server. Was a lab where we did that way back in the beginning. Let's I'll show you where that one's at. Because it's been a while. No one's asked today. These labs are all free. This course is free with the starter pass, currently free. I know some things because I work for INE, in case you're curious. This is what I do. And when you have 130 labs that are very well done, the expectation shouldn't be that it continues to be free. I'll just put it like that. Find the secret server if you want to practice just the pivoting, just the adding a route. You can do that in here. It's a lot of fun. I guess I should stop my other one. But in here, we've got a few different subnets, and you can add routes to reach them all. That's kind of all I wanted to cover here. I wanted to open this up. I haven't done this yet. To an AMA. Are there any questions that you want to ask me that you haven't had the opportunity? We've been focused on these courses, on these labs. I flew planes. See all my plane stuff behind me. I was a flight commander for a communication squadron in the Air Force. I taught at the Air Force Special Operations School. I teach red teaming. I consult. I'm a VCISO. What do you want to know? I'll tell you, I am going in May, which is, only like a month and a few days away now, to Way West, put on by Black Hills down in San Diego. I'll be running a resume review using a lot of the things that you've seen here on Cyber and Security that Neil's put together. I'm literally going to steal all of his stuff and reuse it there. It's what I've used for job applications for my resume. Going to steal stuff from Gerald Ozier, who I asked both these guys to come. They're kind of busy. I think Stefan Semmeroth might come along if I buy him a beer. And so he's put out a lot of stuff on resumes. He's mentored over 900 people in the last 3 years and done a lot of reviews there. So got some questions, it looks like. Cyber Centurion is asking, yeah. When the new stuff launches, I don't imagine it's going to be free. This might stay here for a while. I'm also tell you that EJPT, the exam, is getting rebuilt. Currently, Alexi and I are rebuilding the images to be attacked for that and setting up all the new questions that go along that. It's going to be in this lab environment, so you won't have your own attack box, which what you have here with EJPT currently is very different than the rest of the industry. OSCP has gone to a proctored, it's been a proctored exam for a while, where for that whole 24 hours, you have to have a sterile environment. Someone is watching. Someone can't come into your room. And truth be told, some of the hardest things with the exam, I know a guy who's been a pen tester, a red teamer for years, and kept failing the OSCP for different reasons, whatever. But one of the first ones was because of the proctor failed him. And he appealed, and they gave him another exam voucher. They sided with him. But to make sure that it's legit, you've got only a few options. The first being proctoring. And Pearson View proctors I think EC Council proctors, ISC, well, they use Pearson VUE. So many organizations proctor. And to make it easier for you, so that you get a realistic environment without having to go through all the proctoring, there's going to be a lab environment like this, where you've got a browser-based attack machine. And you won't be able to bring things in or out, but it will have everything you need to pass the exam, everything that you've done in all of the labs. So it's a full up and running Kali with everything set up like a junior penetration tester would need it. It's not yours, and that's going to hurt some people's feelings. We'll see how that goes. But it works. James Gillespie McGee Jr. No. Asked the question, is Hack the Box a good place to start? It can be. Hack the Box Academy, I think, starts you at nothingness and moves you through. I've gotten bored with it because I can't proceed forward without paying for stuff, and I'd have to like go through all of the labs that like I know how to do to get to where it might teach me something. And by that point, I've been doing this for too long, so I get bored. Hack the Box itself, with like just the boxes that you can go after, they can be fun. They can be useful. You team those up with like IPSEC videos and walkthroughs of retired labs, and that can be really helpful for learning. If you just want something to hit, something to play with, something to learn on your own, if you know the basics, then yes, it works great. Try Hack Me as well is a great place to go and practice your skills. But as like a place to learn, it's got its deficiencies. It doesn't have dedicated videos. It doesn't always have the best walkthroughs. It isn't all encompassing, built to teach you things. Try Hack Me is coming up in its way, but it's again, doesn't have dedicated videos. They got good pathways. I've got my high schoolers working on that from a high school that I mentor. Their cyber team, they are going through Try Hack Me, and I've got this whole pathway for them, and it's pretty money, and they're learning a lot because they do have networking. They got everything in there. They just don't have videos, dedicated videos. People have made videos. Yeah. What else? What else you guys got? California's talking about the Git repos. Gotcha. So we're starting to come up on summer. I'm wondering who might be going to Black Hat or DEF CON. Was trying to start up a new village, and they just didn't have availability. They can only have so many villages. There's only so many rooms at all the hotels that they use. And so New Village didn't take off this year, but I still want to go out and do some things. It's part of why I'm doing Way West. I'm going to learn a little bit and see if I can't adjust some things and become part of another village that is up and running at DEF CON maybe the following year, or set up new village type stuff at RSA, or possibly with B-Sides. The idea being these conferences aren't made for beginners. They're made for the industry. They might have some beginner content, and you don't always need beginner content. Like some of these concepts, even the advanced ones, aren't that advanced. Like you'll get it if you have studied anything at all. You'll pick up a little bit here and there. And at least exposure is useful. But if you spend the whole time like learning, I don't know, if you don't know Newtonian physics and spending like your whole time doing like astrophysics and quantum physics, you're gonna be like, I get it. I don't get it. Devnil Zen, you got a few questions. Thoughts on the new Spring Beans vuln? It's neat. It's patched already. So the patch is out there. It's exploitable, but I don't know. It's just like any other vulnerability. Truth be told, if you have good segmentation, defense in depth, least privilege, and nowadays with, I don't so many hosted websites in the cloud or on a web hosting service rather than locally hosted on servers, on web servers, or people should be doing that. I think it makes sense for so many reasons, so many business cases. If you do that, then it doesn't matter if your web server is compromised because it's not tied to everything else, or it shouldn't be. Just like we, in the Black Box Lab, we exploited that VCMS, that Nginx server, and then we were able to move around on there and then pivot into the network, which makes sense if it was like a DMZ server. And then somehow we were able to get into the internal network from that. That shouldn't be possible. That shouldn't have worked. So, Net Fraser asked, how much study time do you put aside when you're studying for a cert? It depends. So when I was studying for Sec Plus, I was in the Air Force and they said, hey, you've got 2 weeks. You have to pass this exam or you have to pay for it. And if you don't pass the exam, even after you pay for it, then you can't do your job and we're going to have to find you a new job, or maybe you're not in the Air Force anymore. That wasn't a good position for me and I don't like losing or failing. So I had the 2 weeks, I had a couple books, and I just sat down and I studied. I had been a pilot before, gone through pilot training. And before college, I went to Northwestern Preparatory School before the Air Force Academy, and I learned how to cram and study. We took the SAT and the ACT, they're standardized pre-college tests in the United States and some other places, and took them many, many times, a lot of practice tests, learned how to memorize, learned how to take tests. And so by the time I got to studying for Sec Plus, I would sit down for like an hour a day, like go through the book. We'd been studying this stuff for like 6 months. So none of it was new. I was like, okay, defense in depth, got it. Shaw 256, got it. I just needed to be able to then regurgitate the raw knowledge because it's Security Plus. So it's names, definitions. Sometimes there was like application, but it's like silly application. It's pretty straightforward application. Like, oh, what's the MAC address and the IP address from this diagram? Well, it's those two right there because I know what a MAC address is, an IP address. So that one was easy. CISP, I did summer of 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. I was teaching remotely, and I would take my kids to the park once I got done teaching, and I had O'Reilly Media. I've got, as a veteran, I've got access to O'Reilly Media for free, and there were like 20 CISP study guides and practice questions and all that greatness on there. And so they would be playing on the playground and I would be going through practice questions or like 11th hour at the book. And I think I spent a month like cramming for like 4 hours a day on that. I did a bunch of online practice exams, did like 20 individual kinds. So I would take them until I could get like a 90%, and then I would move on to the next one. So I did 20 of those, knowing I got 90%. And then when I showed up to the test, that one was so like, even when I was taking the test and I got done, I walked to the front and I was like, I failed this thing. And then they're like, you passed. So I was like, I don't believe it. But by that point, you either know the knowledge or you don't. And you can take the test or you can't. Somebody asked, what does DMZ stand for? That's the Demilitarized Zone. So I'm going to share. Share this. So this isn't a great example, but we've got this router and we've got switches here, and they're all separated. So demilitarized zone might be a server on its own that is outside of the firewall and that like is routable from public, like from the public. Oh man, I just need to actually pull up a good diagram of this. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. What's a good one? That'll work. All right. So you've got the internet out here, and then you've got a firewall, and you got the DMZ. So the DMZ has like a public server. So in this case, like a web server, because you want people to see your website, right? So they need to be able to get to your web server. This used to be the way. If you wanted a website, you had to have a web server, and you would host your web server, and it would be part of your network, but it would also be segmented via the firewall and internal switches and routers. So your internal network, where everyone works, printers, other file servers, your mail server, would all be internal, but your DMZ would hold like your web server. Generally, that's it. There's some other things you might throw on your DMZ, but for the gist of it, for what we're covering here, Demilitarized Zone, and it's like the zone that separates North and South Korea, where like you want that separation, a big gap between things. That way, if someone exploits your web server because it's publicly facing, you should have a firewall and routers in between those so that they can't get to your local network. That's how it's supposed to be set up. That's why we pen test, to double check that. Does it actually work? Do you actually have segmentation? Thanks, Dev. What other questions we got? And Rudolfer asked, suggest some certs which give us remote jobs. All of them. Any job can be remote if you can prove that you can do the job. Does that make any sense? One of the things that people don't realize when they're job hunting is that you are a product. Someone is going to pay for you. So when you go to the store, when you go to Amazon, when you go to Alibaba, and you decide, am I going to buy this one or this one? You look at the price, and you look at the ratings, and you look at what features it comes with. You are the same thing. When a recruiter says, I have a need, they go shopping for people. So when they find you, what does your brand mean? Like, are you Nike? Are you Adidas? Like, are you like a brand that we don't know about? Are you unknown? If you're unknown, like, well, what features do you have? Is it hard to find out what your features are? So think of yourself in that way, like a brand, like a product that you're trying to sell to someone that like you want them to pay top dollar, right? You're worth top dollar. Well, how do they know you're worth top dollar? Like Neil knows that Gucci is top dollar. He knows what to expect to pay for a Rolex or a man. Why am I blanking? Top end watch. But what about you? How do we know what you're worth? What you cost? Having some certs could be helpful. It's like, okay, I know what's required to get this cert. If this person was able to pass this, then I have a base idea of what their knowledge is at. There's some certs that mean more to people than others. I know how much of a pain in the butt it was to get CISP and how much I had to study for it. If someone else has CISP, I know that they had to study a lot of things. It's like I trust a lawyer because I know I've studied some law and I know how hard it is to know all of it and pass the bar exam. Anto Rudolfer also asked, can you post any Active Directory study session bin future YouTube videos? No. I probably won't get around to Active Directory stuff. If you want that, Joe Helly's put out some great stuff. Go find Heath Adams and John Hammond's Active Directory YouTube videos. I'll redo them if I really get bored. Same way I did like buffer overflows, but it's not on the books. I've got some other things I want to do first. So I probably will not Brian Stumbo asked, is it feasible to land a pen testing job as a first job in cybersecurity, or should I go for something safer? No, you can become a pen tester. I mean, easy ones are like Lily Clark and Joe Helly. Like, they're big names, and that's what they did. They got into cybersecurity and they became pen testers. Like, you again have to market yourself. I'm not going to hire like someone I don't know who says that they're a pen tester. Okay, great. How do I know you're a pen tester? Like, show me some skills. Like, you create a YouTube video. Maybe just make a GitHub repo. Maybe some write-ups and walkthroughs of some Try Hack Me labs or Hack the Box labs that you're allowed to share, or talk about like the concepts. You don't even have to do walkthroughs. Like, do you have posts? Do you have tweets? Do you show that like you know some things? What is your ranking on Try Hack Me? What is your ranking on Hack the Box? Like, how do I know that you actually know how to do anything? Why would I hire you? Answer that question. Why would I hire you? And if it's like, oh, okay, because you're a good pen tester, okay, then now I see. Show me. Does that make sense? So if you want that job, you have to really sell that. And that goes whether you've got a history as sysadmin, whether you've got a history as this or that, the other. Just because you've done that doesn't mean that you're going to be a good pen tester. You have to show me that you're going to be a good pen tester. So, oh man, Harsh, I'm going to mess up your last name. Bardwaj, Harsh Bardwaj asked how to improve a bug hunting bug bounties. Any recommendations? Do you think bug bounties will help in getting a job? Yes, I do. Go through pen tester student. We've got some web stuff. Then we've got web penetration testing as its own course, and web penetration testing expert as its own course at INE. Portswigger Academy is free and available, and that goes through all the OWASP top 10. Get Juice Shop, practice on that, learn how to do all the things there, and then go sign up. Go sign up for HackerOne or any of the others, and find something in scope and go find bugs. I don't know. Once you find a few and you learn how to write up a report that someone will accept, now you're a pen tester, especially if you get paid for it. The difference between being an amateur and a hobbyist and a professional is whether you get paid. That's always been the thing in my book. It's like, are you a professional? Do you get paid? There's a lot of things that I do that are hobbies, like this. So I am not a professional streamer. I am a hobbyist streamer in my book. So if you want to be a professional pen tester, go get a bug and have someone pay you for it. You got paid, you're a professional. That's my definition. But I'm just a guy. So like Josh Mason said, have fun with that. Some people be like, I don't care. Handy Geeks asked, how would I market 10 years as a telecommunications tech and now have A+ and Sec+, but I'm having trouble finding an IT job? Well, what job do you want? Handy Geek, we can go through that. You have to fit your resume and your application to the job that you want. And you kind of have to shape your brand to fit that job. When I wanted this job, I was branding myself as an instructor who knew about pen testing. So what did I do? Well, I made some videos where I showed that I could do pen testing. I talked about pen testing. I had a GitHub repo and made a Try Hack Me room that showed that I knew how to teach, I knew how to talk to people, and I knew how to pen test. And here's a little secret. I've never been paid to pen test. So in my book of like, are you a professional or not? I'm not. I'm a professional instructor. So with that, market yourself, sell yourself. My job is to sit in front of a camera and show you how to do labs. Can I do that? Yes. Yes, I can. So if you want that job, how should someone know that you're good at that job? Do you talk about BGP? Like, do you talk like, what is the IT job that you're looking for? Do you want to be a cloud architect? What are you talking about cloud? Like, what does your current AWS free tier look like? What are you doing there? What do you do with your S3 buckets? Do you have a workstation in AWS? Do you have your own Azure Active Directory set up? If you have any of these things, if you can talk about these things, if you understand what's going on, people might be interested in hiring you to do those things. But if they look at you and they go, I don't know what you stand for, I don't know what you know based on what you've put out publicly, then why would they hire you? Taj, my friend, my buddy, asked, what do you suggest someone who is training in cybersecurity and also applying to jobs, not specific cybersecurity, do these two simultaneously daily? Do your job, and then, where is this? This hit me. It's a values clarification worksheet. If anyone wants this, I got it from my therapist. It's from therapistaid.com. I'm sure it's shareable. It's got a list of all of these values, be it money, family, morals, success, knowledge, and it tells you, find the top one, find the value that means the most to you, and rate that number one. And then find the next one and go until you have 10. Then look at what you do with your day. Look at what you do with your decisions. And do they fit the values that you decide you want, or that the things that you actually value? And I had to do this for myself because we're all growing, right? We're all getting better. And when I make a decision, what value am I strengthening? So if you decide to go surfing, cool, that's fine. Like, you enjoy that, that's a value. But okay, then what else do you decide to do? Do you decide to go play video games? Okay, that's fine. That's not a bad thing. Do you decide to go out drinking with friends? Like, that in and of itself is not a bad thing. But like, if your day consists of surfing, playing video games, and going and hanging out like with your friends at a bar, and also like doing something that pays you some money for a few hours, but like isn't like your career job, what values have you just chosen? Do you want to learn this thing? So when I was studying for CISP, I was working because I needed to make money and I enjoyed my job. Like, two things good there. Need to make money for my family. And then I would go and spend my afternoon and my evening with my kids and my family. And truth be told, sitting there watching them swing and like run around on the playground, like I was like, it's not boring, but it's also like, I can do other things as well. I was already doing other things. I was choosing to like scroll through LinkedIn and whatnot on my phone. So I was like, I'm going to study instead of just bullshitting on my phone. So that's when I decided to study for my CISP. And I did that pretty much every day because I would finish with lessons and still have quite a bit of the day left. And it seems boring. And I would get home and would do dinner, put the kids to bed. We would watch some shows, but even then I would have my CISP books open and I would be studying. What do I choose to do now? Like, got the kids to bed last night, jumped on here and practiced the labs. I went through Black Box Lab 1 and 2 and 3 last night and was like, I don't want to do 2 and 3 publicly because I don't think they're good to do, but I don't think they're crucial to TJPT. Just saying. If you ask me what labs that are in PTS that I'm carrying over to the new PTS, those are not ones I would choose. Just saying. So with that, I went through it all prepping for today because this is something that I value. I'm both doing this for work. I'm doing this on work time, kind of. As a content creator, my work time is all the time. I also recorded a bunch of videos last night at like 11 at night. So if you want to study, work so that you can continue to do what you need to do, or if you're a student or whatnot, whatever you need to do, take care of yourself and then study. Study as much as you can. If you need a method to study, Kanban, Pandoro, like pick something, study. Plan breaks, plan days off, plan to do other things, but also have a plan for what you want to get through. Have some milestones. Like, I want to take this test on this date, so I need to be good to go by this date. I did that with a CCP, with an Amazon Certified Cloud Practitioner. I finally was like, you know what? Setting a date. A week before that, I need to be done with all the videos, and I need to be hitting the practice tests. And I'm going to do 1 or 2 practice tests every day. And initially I was like, okay, 1 is not enough. So I need to do 2 practice tests every day. So rather than play video games or like watch YouTube videos or whatnot, if I wasn't doing the other things that I value, I would sit down and I would do practice tests. And I did those, and then I took the test, and then my values shifted again because I had that. So decide what to do with your day based on your values. See you, man. Demilitarized asked, what security certs do you recommend for people in cyber adjacent positions where good baseline InfoSec knowledge is valuable? Free, cheap, accessible, practical. That's what I'm going to go with. That's my guideline for if I'm going to go spend the time to get a cert, what am I going to choose? So with that, PTS is free to learn, and EJPT is $200. And truth be told, it'll teach you cybersecurity. You go through the basics, you'll learn enough networking, you'll learn enough about what a penetration tester does, that even if you're not going to be a penetration tester, like when someone says, hey, I got a shell on a box, like I know what that means. Like, even if when you go through it and you get the cert, like, cool, you can do it. Even if you don't want to do that as your job, when someone talks about it, you know what they're talking about. This new Spring Bean vulnerability is out where they get remote code execution because they like take advantage of a Java application running on Tomcat. So they take a web server and they were able to do remote code execution and gain access to the box. We just did that this morning. So even if you can't do it, if you study PTS, you would know what they're talking about. You're like, oh, I've done that once before. Even if I don't do it now, even if that's not the job I want to have, I understand what's going on. So that's mine. Is that Sec Plus is, everyone knows it. It's $85.70. It's, I think, reasonably priced. I think it's only a few $100. And it covers the basic concepts of security decently enough. Yeah. And there's good study material. There's free videos. There's free material from Ian Neal. On my LinkedIn, I've got what I suggest for people to get started. And I think that works for anyone. Red, blue, GRC, site, security adjacent, sales, marketing, anyone in cyber. You start with those things and you're going to learn useful stuff. And if you just need the basics, you don't need a cert, you just need them to learn something. Gerald Dozier has on Simply Cyber a playlist called Cyber 101. He's a professor with a PhD in cybersecurity, and it's what he teaches. It's what I would teach if I was making the course. It's solid stuff. Does that work for you, Dev? It's also exactly what I told you last night, but I appreciate you asking here so everyone else can hear as well. All right. Chris had to bounce, so I'm looking at chat. Taekwon Gong asked my thoughts on the Metasploit book and other books on hacking. Just like anything else you'd buy, look at the reviews and decide if the value of it is worth what you think you're going to get out of it. Humble bundles are great. Usually you can get like dozens of books for like $20. They're ebooks, but at this point, I haven't bought a physical book in a long time. I have some. Like Packt sends me physical books, which is great. But I read the ebook. and I can put it on my phone and turn on narration, and it'll read it to me like it's an audiobook in a robot voice. But sometimes that's fine too, because I keep these on almost all day because I forget I'm wearing them, and listen to audiobooks and like the videos on my phone. I don't have to like turn up my volume to hear it over my kids and my dog and other stuff because it's like dialed right in. But at the same time, like I'm not blocking my ears, so I can hear everything else going on. So I really like these things. They're aftershocks. I'll drop a link in Discord. But audiobooks are what I do, and ebooks work well for that. If you want the Metasploit book, they're good. Alexei Ahmed put out one by Packt. I've got it over there because I asked for it, and it's good. Privilege Escalation book is that one. I've also got a Metasploit book coming to me from Packt. They're good, and sometimes they're like $3, $3 book. Like you could do that. Like I could buy a Starbucks coffee, or I could buy a book. You pick. California asked, how would you plan creating content to demonstrate what you know to market yourself? Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a pen tester? Show some pen testing content. Do you want to be a GRC analyst? Make posts about NIST CSF, how you would apply it. What mindsets do you need to think about? Would your recommendations be to an organization based off of what you might see in their like maturity? When you show up to an organization and you were to run an audit, what do you expect you might see? And how does that apply to identity? How does that apply to detect? Write these things. Make videos, talk about them. Dev Knowles N wants physical books. I've already done that, Dev. You've got one of mine already. Yeah, and Taekwon Gong, you want physical books as well. That's cool. That's fine. Okay, cool. And you got Alexi's book. I'm to the point where I'm just chatting with you guys for a couple more minutes. Give me a couple more questions, and then we'll call it a day. You can hop over to Simply Cyber and grab Gerald's first things first today. His semester's finishing up. Man, February took forever, and March just flew by. I don't know what's going to happen to the rest of spring. I got this feeling it's going to fly, and we'll be in summer. Then Jerry's going to be doing first things first at 8 every day. I won't wait for him to start this on Thursdays, but it'll be like Fridays with Tea with a Hacker. Usually he's done with the meat of the thing, so and you're not going to miss things in the beginning here. So it's fine. You can support us both, learn cool stuff. It's great. I will cover, if no one else is going to ask anything, on cyber insecurity. We're doing big things tomorrow. Tea with a Hacker with Neil, and I talked to him. We're planning a giveaway or two. If there's a lot of people and a lot of hype, we'll do a few giveaways. We've got them to give away. But yeah, you got Neil. Ask him all the questions. He's up and running as a CISO with Query AI, and you might have some insights of, okay, so what would you do in your new organization? I know I had those questions. So if you got them, ask him. Also, all of the other standard questions, get his take on maybe what you asked me. His might be different. His might be nuanced. His might have more insight. I know he's my mentor because he does all those things as well. So Taekwon Gong asked, thoughts on WGU for a cybersecurity bachelor degree? I would do it. It's cheap. Knowing what I can, like my study habits, if I needed a bachelor's degree and I wanted to get the certs, like there's value there. If you can sit down, make some cash to like survive life and pay for the courses, and then you just can knock it out, go and do it. A bachelor's degree can open doors. It is one of those things that like there's a lot of people who say the ROI isn't there, which I don't know about. I haven't studied, but I do know when you tell people like you have a degree, they think things. It's just psychology. And so if they think things, if they've got preconceived notions about what that means, that works for your advantage. If then you also have Net Plus, Security Plus, and CCNA and CEH, and that's all included in the price, and you study for it as the course, I don't see the downside to that. I feel like that's the best way to do that sort of thing. Again, it goes to like, do those certs matter? Well, if you say that you have them, if you've gone through this whole process, then someone might say, okay, I know what to expect from someone who has all those things. If that's what I want to hire, that helps. But don't have that be your brand. Have that be part of your brand. Does that make sense? Just because you want a blue shoe that is in like a certain style and you can wear it when you go running doesn't mean that any blue running shoe works for you. You want one because of certain features and maybe the brand, right? So it's the same thing. I don't want just anyone with a bachelor's degree and all these certs. Those help, but what I really want is I want this. So are you that? Show them. Anto Rudolph asked, I want to do red teaming, but currently I'm doing network security, playing firewalls in L3. Is it okay to jump in pen testing without zero experience? Yeah. Yes. Will my current experience get counted? If you make it look worthwhile. If you can say, oh, so I understand that like based off of what a network, how a network should be segmented, that if I run these scans and pivot, I'm going to see all of this. When I pen test that and I come across like a flat network, it's like, oh, not only can I tell you, hey, this is a bad idea from a security standpoint, but here are my recommendations because I used to build networks. I would put in these firewalls and I would put in these routers and I would put in these switches in this sort of configuration to separate your finance from your marketing and your DMZ. You can make those recommendations because you know what I'm saying. If you can explain that to someone else, then you're even more valuable. And like, I'm making it up. I was never a network engineer. I've got an idea of what it is, but if you know more specifics, build off that, use that. But again, a lot of it is also going to be like, that's neat. I want a pen tester. Can you pen test? Let me see your write-ups. Let me see, like, if you were to make a report, what would that look like? What are your writing skills? Because writing is a big part of being a pen tester. So what are your writing skills like? Show me in some posts and some blogs and some write-ups. Like, do something. Do something. One more question, if you got it. Otherwise, Monday nights, Neil's usually on, but Jack is doing Jack of all trades over on Twitch, usually starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday nights, Brent is still going through, Brent Eskridge, PhD. He's going through his Python course. It's the same college course that he was teaching when he was a professor for over a decade. He is now a analyst, and great things happening there. I'm curious to see where he goes after this 12 weeks. He's about halfway through, a little over. Wednesday nights, we got Brandon Krieger doing Daily Cyber, an AMA from a guy who has run his own stuff and is also an analyst, diving into some news and his hot takes. I'm going to be here every Thursday from Into the Knowable Future at 8:30 Eastern. And I'll try to let you know what I'm doing ahead of time. We are going to be done with PTS for now and hit the CASP study guide for next week. I'll put out some tweets and LinkedIn posts about what we'll cover next week as I dive into this book and kind of decide a little bit. Probably it'll be an introduction to what is CASP, what is some of these, what's the difference between that and like Security Plus. And then Fridays, we have Tea with a Hacker at 8:30 Eastern, and then Tipsy Cyber at 8 p.m. Eastern with Jack Reedy. And I don't think he's doing more Boss of the Sock, but hit up the Cyber and Security YouTube channel, and I think he's already posted there, or events in Discord. I will probably be in Discord tonight, in member chat late at night. I usually am, and a lot of you guys are as well. Nathan Bolin said he's doing this master's with WGU. Nice. Taekwon Gong asked, where did you get books? Amazon works. All right. I'm going to call that one. I've got some meetings, and you all rock. Have a great day, and find me on Discord or LinkedIn. With that, good night. Good day.